Hey guys, it's Celine. Today is Wednesday, the 15th of, what is it? April? Yes, I'm so confused. My life has been all over the place. So I was hesitating and talking to myself for 10 minutes before getting started here because I haven't done this in a while and so much has happened and I don't know who I am anymore. So I wouldn't, there's a couple of things I would really like to share with the internet. And I'm just going to, describe them for you. Maybe it's going to be really short, another really short little video because I didn't used to be. It's like fireworks all the time, sort of low key, constantly like being pulled in all directions, and it's exhausting. I also have quite a bit of energy. I'm actually really chuffed because I am uh, proceeding to resume um, some painting. So this is just a background that I have created today using this stuff here, gesso. Can you see that? Yes, it's a French brand, but that exists in all sorts of types. That pot is 1,000,000 years old and needs to be replaced. You put that on the canvas and then you let it dry for a bit. You can make all sorts of surfaces with it. It creates a lot of texture, a lot. I have never really used it to do that, but I've just discovered that if I do this and then put my, natural earth pigments next on top of that, like you saw just now, then that creates a really interesting sort of it's not enough. It's not not by a long stretch, and I will probably today bring this upstairs where my oil paints are, and then as it's because this dries really quickly, so that's the big advantage of having this layer on instead of starting with oil from scratch, which I have been, which I used to do. I will probably do this a lot more often. It's very experimental still, and I'm still very much figuring it out how much of this texture I actually want, and at which point it becomes like really tacky, what I consider to be, 70s people enjoying natural surfaces kind of a vibe, which of course I experienced when I was a kid, and which, after a while looks really horrible. So we don't want horrible, we want subtle and interesting colors, and there's a lot of interesting colors in my tub of oil paints upstairs that I went through yesterday, and they're all cleaned. Well, a lot of them are cleaned. They have been opened, so they're easy access now. They have not been used in a couple of years. So I'm like very excited to get painting again, and it has been a hot minute. It has been too long, and the big deal with me and painting, I don't even know what it is. I just love painting, and my mind goes into my happy place, and I stay like, it's like all the vibes from painting. Okay, so this is me. It's having a whale of a time. However, oil paints are a bit more tricky to handle, and it is really a great advantage to have, like a short, quick way of making a surface that will work, on top of which I can then, do interesting things with potentially blues and greens and transparent layers and whatnot. So, yes, very much looking forward to that. This is a sort of a witchy check-in with bits and pieces, okay? I've been having a lot of fun on YouTube as well with different new people. Hi, Selena, if you're there. I am enjoying our conversations very much from the side of the Atlantic. And it's just really good, to have people here and there who sort of get what you're on about, and that I also get to quite some extent. So life is it's opening up after I'm 60. I wasn't expecting any opening up to be happening ever anytime soon. So, but it's happening. So yay to that. We also have gorgeous weather. I've been outside in the sun, soaking up the sunshine for quite a while today, and I was getting hot and sort of, you know, caramelized over the surface. So I decided to do my layer of paint first, and then to, when this is kind of done for now, it needs to dry for a little bit longer. I thought I am going to actually go and record something. So the other couple of somethings, because there's witchcraft all over in my life. It is, wow, okay? I didn't know it was possible to be so full of it. And I mean that in all the different meanings, you know? So, I don't want to go into the whole past lives theme, because that is a big part of what I am up to, but it is still very, I've talked about my past lives experiences on my channel before a couple of times. There's even a playlist that has past life experiences, which needs some serious updating, but I need to be a little more fluent and a little more organized in my brain to actually prepare that. I'm taking notes for myself as it comes up. Some of which I think I've been stimulated also by Selena over at Essence of the Moon, with her, interview that she's done recently. It was very impactful. I need to get that book from this author pretty soon, because this is something I just need to be doing. So I'm going to park that for now. The other magical thing that I think is sort of a separate entity of itself that I can actually present to you today has to do with this book. So I have had this book for probably 30 years. How long is that? 7 minutes. Okay. This is more or less a reasonable sort of a witchy check-in timeline for me to be having, I think. I don't know if what your opinion is. I'm okay on this end. So this book is old. It is Scott Cunningham's Encyclopedia of Magical Herbs, and it was first published in 1993 by Llewellyn in Minnesota. It seems to me like it might be older, but maybe it's not. 93. Let me check for 1 second here. No. First edition, 85. Yes. This is a wonderful book that I got probably secondhand at the time, or I don't think I bought it new, but it may well have been in my possession since 88, 89, thereabouts. So maybe I got it new in a bookshop at the time in Amsterdam when I used to live there with my husband. It has a ton of plants in alphabetical order. It has also, I'm not doing a review of the book. You can find that elsewhere. It's, available. It's really I don't suppose it's out of print. Oh God, I hope not. It has a ton of plants, where every plant, let's just grab this one here. It says violet. There's a picture next to it of a violet. And then the page, the sort of a paragraph about the magical properties of the plant looks like that. So it's very concise, compact, short and sweet, kind of a summary of its folk names. It has a Latin violet, it has a Latin name Viola odorata, folk names blue violet, sweet violet, gender feminine. This is before gender was a thing. Okay, so this is what you're gonna find your feminine or masculine. It's those two flavors. Yeah. Make of that what you want. It's old school, okay? Planet for the violet is Venus. The element is water. The deity is also Venus. That's the interesting bit for me. So why I'm bringing out the book, okay? In a bit. I'll come to that in a bit. It says magical uses. When the flowers are carried, they offer protection against wicked spirits and bring changes in luck and fortune. Mixed with lavender, they're a powerful love stimulant and also arouse lust. And it goes on a bit. Okay, so we have a ton of plants in alphabetical order and quite a few really nice illustrations, just enough illustrations to make it, a little more appetizing. Nice pictures of also quite simple, easy to, figure out what the plant is that you're looking at, and so on and so forth. I personally have chosen to recently underline with a blue pencil the deity names, because that is where I am going with this. I've had this book for 30 years or more, however many years it is, and I leaf through it occasionally, and I had no reason to use it. No, what could I do with it except just go through it and occasionally wonder. Here we have the celery plant, which is masculine, and the planet is Mercury, and it doesn't have any deities, but it has powers for mental powers and psychic powers as well. We have the cedar, we have chamomile. I'm looking for a couple more deity names here, because all of a sudden, maybe 3 weeks ago or so, it just kind of fell into my brain. I had the need to commune more strongly and more consistently with a spirit of the Goetia. So that's my demonology department, okay? I won't go to a ton of details today because we'll be here forever. I won't also not go into which spirit it is or why or any of it. Just the spirits of the Goetia that I have had interactions with, that I trust, and they trust me by now, mostly. Okay, but it's interesting because demons are like that for me. It's an exchange of, there's growth happening for me personally, especially emotionally, and it has to do, I suppose, in the end, the bottom line of my magical endeavor here was and is to gain confidence in being vulnerable with people without losing my cool, something like that, without losing the like losing track of what it is that I'm doing. I used to be so badly affected. I used to dissociate. I used to be so afraid. All those things is what I'm working on with my thing that I'm going to explain to you what I did. So what I did, it's a very interesting procedure. I will be doing more of these, and maybe one day I can actually record it as I'm going about this. But it's also a bit messy, and it takes quite a while to set up and so on. So I might as well just tell you instead of showing you, which is normally what I would love to do. I use a fabric pouch. I've been using to great effect secondhand silk ties, because that is beautiful fabric. Like, for example, this type of really natural silk, beautiful stuff. You can take a piece like this and sew it up, and then use this as your pouch, for example. Doesn't matter what it looks like. But the ends of the silk ties, the man's ties that I bought somewhere in a thrift store, what is it, a year ago or so, the ends are sewn really beautifully, really tightly, and have a lining in them, and it's like begging to be used as a talisman. I mean, please use me as a talisman. So that's the natural, well, it has been fabricated, so not natural, pouch shape that is begging to be used as a container for magic stuff. So yeah. So what I've been doing, I had my spirit of the Goetia that I'm familiar with, that I know who they are. I work with them on and off. I've gone over this a couple of times before in my previous videos over the winter, how I do that. Sometimes I use my tarot cards, my occult tarot, or any of those. lots of things that sort of make me fairly confident that I know what kind of exchange I have with this spirit. You cannot, in my opinion, do this kind of work randomly with any. Maybe another person could. I'm not saying, okay? This is me. I'm just going here for my own approach here, which is I make a little piece of paper. In the middle of the piece of paper, I draw the sigil as best I can, the traditional, most of the time, I suppose I will use the traditional sigil for the spirits in question. So this may be, what's a well-known one, Belial, for example. I made a Belial pouch for my husband, and he's nuts about it. He wears it, he's got it hidden inside his clothes, and he is not to be separated from his Belial pouch in the near future because he loves it. So this is a vibrational magic exercise that I'm bringing to you here. It's actually working. I can just describe it to you, okay? Without showing you any of the stuff, because then all the pots come out and you don't see nothing but pots. So I might as well just tell you. Little piece of paper, sigil in the middle. The thing is that you get a sort of a meaningful network, if you like, between the sigil, a circle going around the sigil, around the outside. So the sigil is already circular, but I don't mean that. I just mean around the outside of the sigil. I position the 7 old planets. So Sun to Saturn and everybody in between those. Okay? That's the connection to Scott Cunningham, because there's a connection. There's always a connection in my story, eventually, if you wait long enough. So I make a list first of what I want to go in my pouch from either my witchy cabinet, my kitchen cupboards, spices and herbs and things, based off of Scott Cunningham's information. And each of those planets, so the sun, for example, a good one that I've used, I think, in all 3 of the pouches that I've made so far, I use saffron to link with the sun part, to sort of surround the sigil, the spirit, if you like, represented by their sigil, on all sides by planetary energies that are represented by plants. So saffron I have in my kitchen cupboard. For the moon, sandalwood, for example. Just a couple that actually come to mind fairly quickly. I've done it a couple of times, so I sit here writing out my list first, and sometimes it's 2 lists because I need to be really clear and know which ones it's going to be. And then each of the herbs also has a deity from Scott Cunningham, okay, like we said earlier. So the rose, for example, Venus, very easy to do, you know. I think the rose has a couple of others as well. Let me look that up real quick. You can then sort of fill out your complete set of the, the planetary positions that you want. Yes, we have a whole list for the rose here. Hathor, Hulda, Eros, Cupid, Demeter, Isis, Adonis, Harpocrates, and Aurora are all associated deities, okay, with the rose as a plant. So I can put a rosebud into my pouch, and on my little diagram that I'm making with the sigil in the middle, for the Venus position, if you're still with me, I can pick one of those deities that I want to help me connect to sort of establish a firmer connection through the plants as well as the deities to the spirit, if that makes any sense. And I would never have come out and talked to you about it if if it hadn't worked, but it works. And it is, I am so impressed with how much this does. So I've worn the first one that I made for myself for probably more than 2 weeks by now. I haven't got it on now because I don't wear it full on complete, all the time, continually. I was going to say, I made one for Lilith because there was another reason for that to be, and then things fell into place between the first spirit and Lilith as I was wearing them together. And they have a different composition, different herbs and spices. And so, depending on where you're going with it takes a lot of fiddling out and figuring out how you want to do this. But it works. And it is wonderful to realize how much power there is in your cupboards and in your backyard. I mean, I've used dandelion. I think it was for Belial's pouch for my husband that the dandelion went in. So it's like I'm discovering a whole new world here that I am already very familiar with, because I know all the plants. I love cooking. I love, using all the spices. I'm familiar with the planets and all that. So, and it turns out that it creates a really stable connection to a spirit that you want to be connected to. So, I don't know. I think it's not for me to do this with angelic presences, but it might work just as well, depending a bit on how you do. It's all about intention, right? Isn't it? So I thought maybe I should just, tell you about this. And there are so you have these 7 planetary positions, and for each of the positions, I will typically put in at least 2 or 3 or 4 herbs, spices, or other ingredients. And I've used the fig leaves of my fig tree in my backyard a few times, or like these really tiny new formed leaves that are coming out right now. The possibilities are endless, but the synergy between the components and our apparently dedication of the plants, sort of grouping them in with a particular vibration that is Venus or Mercury or what, by appealing to divine names out of the old days. Demeter, who else have I used? Hephaestus, Greek gods mostly. Hulda is one I have interpelled, what do you call that? Called up, asked to, intercede as well, which is, it's a name that comes up in the book, and in a few of these cases, I have also looked up the Orphic hymn, which I have a wonderful book about that I think I've already shown at one point. It's not around here, and I'm not gonna, talk about books endlessly. But that is, I am stunned by how much is possible. Also, how slow it goes. It takes me 2 hours to make a pouch. And that is presuming that I don't have to do any sewing and stitching. I just use hand spun yarn that I tie the thing shut with so that nothing can fall out. And then I can pull I have a piece of yarn attached to it that I tend to just, stick onto, tie onto my undershirt right there. So, yeah. So that's what I've been really, it's like you get drawn into because of the sigil, because of the names. I know that these deities are real forces. I am aware of them, even though I'm not, there's no temples. There's no temples to Demeter or any of it anywhere close by here. So all I have is Catholic temples that I, occasionally go to as well. So it's all still here. Everything is it's still alive. And especially in the springtime, or in, in winter in the Netherlands, it tends to get a bit dull. So I'm really pleased that we are opening out. So I hope this was of interest to you. Thank you for watching. I'm going to sign off here, and I'm going to continue on with the next installment of the paint business, because I'll show you the end result at some point. Okay, when that is done, it'll maybe another couple of weeks, but because oil paint dries, it takes forever to dry. Okay, so so you know about this. Thank you for watching. Thank you very much for being here. And I will see you in the next one. Okay, bye-bye for now.